Well, hi Harold. Hi Clark. Uh, I noticed last night the big question that popped up on the Learning Circuits blog, and it's something we've been talking about. Although it's a little further out. Tony has let me read this one off. If you peer inside an organization in 10 years' time and look at how workplace learning is being supported by that organization, what do you see? And then he asks about the mix of push and pull, formal, informal, organizational support. Are there training departments? What do they do? Are they big, et cetera, et cetera? And we've been talking about this, although sort of, I look at, well, what do we see in 6 months or maybe a year, not 10 years, which is sort of science fiction land. But I thought we could just sort of talk about the issue. And maybe we'll even send him a video instead of written comments this time. What do you see
Yeah,
in 10 years?
I started when the question came from Tony. The first thing I thought was, well, my God, all the prognoses are usually way off. We don't, we come up with this stuff and we're wrong. And I thought, well, why don't I look backwards first? Let's go back 10 years
Mm.
and remember what the workplace was like. And I also think it's really important to look at the changes in the workplace that are going to drive the changes in workplace learning, and not vice versa. And so, the big things, I guess, that I've noticed have changed are things like ubiquitous connectivity. We're plugged into everything everywhere. High speed, because in 1999 I didn't have high speed at home. And digital capturing. You can now capture everything and anything digitally with your camera, with your flip mini recorder, and things like that. So I saw those as sort of the big changes, and then trying to push that forward another 10 years is that how is the workplace going to be different? And I think the big thing is that we're going to be more distributed, and we're all going to be more different. I think is going to be they're going to be more contractors, more part-time, less full-time, people coming in, people coming out, and more of the stuff that we're doing right now.
Well, I think even 5 years out, things are going to be so different just because the exponential rate of change that we're seeing that we won't recognize it. So indeed, we can just sort of go with philosophical answers rather than practicalities. And what one thing, I mean, I love to prognosticate, but one thing freaked me out a little bit, and it's the old that the enemy of innovation is an incremental approach. And to think about formal versus informal or push versus pull in a world we don't even know what it's going to be like, I'm afraid of perpetuating the past. I don't know. What do you think, Clark?
Well, I love how Harold described his thinking. I instead just sort of thought, what would I like? What would to me be the way it would be going if it was really working well?
10 years out,
No,
it's Clark's world.
if I have my way. So my thought was, if people were working together well, collaborating, there was communities of practice being facilitated, what would be the role of a learning person in that? And to me, that notion would be they would be helping support those people in capturing and transforming information that had emerged as, tacit knowledge that emerged and trying to make it explicit. They might help find ways. They wouldn't be the source of the content, but they might be helping design it, the learning, the information, and the experience. Similarly, I was looking at, then they might be helping those people learn to communicate, be the facilitators of the meta learning. How do you learn? How do you participate in the community? Massaging and being in the background, keeping the community optimally effective. And finally, a third role was to continue to be looking at the tools that will be continuing to emerge at that time and finding ways to help bring those into the workplace, constantly staying at the fringes and looking for what opportunities there are and helping bring those in. So I sort of saw that sort of three-legged learning facilitation role as being what there probably will still be an opportunity for, because much as I would love everyone to be perfectly effective learner, I just don't think that's the way to bet. Schools and universities won't have changed enough in 10 years to have really helped us.
Yeah, because I mean, even 5 years ago, nobody belonged to networks before. You didn't have your Twitter network, your Facebook network, and even though Twitter's not growing that much, your blog network and all those other kinds of things. What happens when everybody starts changing from job to job, but you've got this blob of a network or a whole bunch of networks coming in behind you? Is it the training department, or how do you manage your past lives, and we're only coming into it now as I'm connecting with classmates of mine in high school, right? I mean, that will be the norm, is that you've got this whole trail, you got the long tail of your life that's going to follow you everywhere that you go.
Well, hold it. Let me stop you with one thing there, and that's training department. I mean, Tony asked, are there going to be training departments? And yeah, there will be training departments. Oops, I got a weird screen in front of me here. Let me get that off. But the thing is, while there may be training departments, it's like there's still COBOL programmers. I mean, obsolete. I mean, I pray that learning is diffused throughout organizations rather than lodged in a department, and that it's a mainstream thing, just the way that, well, you better know about project management and, the rudiments of involving yourself in online networks and customer service. You better understand something about how to learn, how to teach, the learning process. And I can't imagine that being lodged in one little staff department any longer.
They
Well,
will
they
be
don't teach
distributed
people how to
throughout the
use email.
organization.
Oh, yeah, they don't teach people how to use email anymore. Maybe in 10 years they won't be teaching people how to get an instructional video online.
I agree.
My kids do it.
Well, that's it. I mean, those skills will be distributed. Those people will probably be distributed. They will have their own virtual community practice that keeps them. There'll be a virtual department in a sense that they will probably converse among each other about how best to facilitate and support learning. But they won't be off one place developing content that they'll force everybody to go through,
Yeah, I think the training silos, and they really are. I mean, we bitch about silos all the time, but God, the training department, if you fill out the form and registered for the LMS and got your blueprint in ADDIE format, it's been a silo too, and I hope we can blow those suckers up. And I think all of a sudden learning is going to be much, much more important and recognized, because it's not those characters who work over in HR who are responsible for it.
Clark, I think
I lost sound. No.
Yeah.
It's a lesson. You take the little thing, you plug it in there, and
yeah, make sure it's in. Okay,
then it makes
Clark's
noise.
If it's a hardwire, it's a hardware software interface issue. I think that learning content development in 10 years could be gone. I think that good content you get people who do good videos. Look at TED, right? I mean, the TED Talks, and you got wonderful explanatory content, and you get people who know how to filming and graphic design and all that kind of stuff. Those are skills, but the separate field of learning content development, I think is going to go down the tubes.
Well, hold it, but there is some expertise, because good entertainment is not always good learning. So I see this role shaping up of, hold it, there's no reinforcement, or the chunks are too large, or you have an opportunity here to weld this into the work, and it's somebody's.
But that's not the content development. That's a level up. It's kind of like, I think, where instructional design should be. In the old days, if you were an ISD person, you did all that kind of stuff: analysis, design, development. You put all those kinds of things together. Now, what we've got in the e-learning world is you've got a whole bunch of what are called instructional designers, or really they're script writers, and they're working with, well, they used to work with authorware, and now they work with whatever, Flash or something like that, and they're developing this learning content. But I don't think that they're going to be doing that the low level content development, because content it will be almost ubiquitous, I think may go down the tubes. I don't know, and that there'll still be jobs, but at the higher end, I think we're going to eat the bottom of the pyramid of the learning field.
True.
I'm just out on a limb.
Hey, Clark, you're still without a voice there, man. I don't hear a sound coming out of your mouth. As you tell me, preferences. Well, okay. I can see Clark's frustration trying to figure out why he's become a mute.
What's he saying?
Sorry, nothing changed.